Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
All right, well, today we're tackling vocabulary.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, 30 words to be exact. Pulled them straight from the Oxford 5000. You know that list of like the most important English words?
Yeah, essential stuff. This is group 14.
Yeah, you got it. Where it's 391 to 420. So we're going to break them down, give you definitions, and even toss in some examples to help you really get them.
Because knowing your vocab, that's like having a secret weapon, right?
Yeah.
You can express yourself more clearly, understand more nuances, and really just sound impressive.
Totally. Okay, first word up, contend.
So contend, it's not just disagreeing, it's more like really going for it. You're making a strong point, fighting for something.
Like scientists contend that climate change needs our attention, like now.
Exactly. Or think about it like, the team had to contend with a bunch of injuries. It was a tough season.
I'd contend that pineapple on pizza is just wrong.
Ooh, controversial. I like it. Speaking of competition, next up is contender.
Someone who's in the running, right? Like a contender for a prize.
Yeah, like she's a top contender for that promotion, or that new company, they're a real contender in the tech world now.
Okay, so he thought he was a contender on that baking show, but his cake totally flopped.
Ouch, yeah. All right, now this next one, content. It can be a little tricky
Why is that?
because it has two totally different meanings. One's about what's inside something, like what's the content of that box.
Right, the stuff inside. And the other meaning.
It's about feeling satisfied. He was content with his life, just living simply.
Ah, so context is key here. Like, the nutritional content of that meal is, well, questionable, versus she felt totally content just reading a book.
Nailed it. Okay, now let's get a little argumentative. Contention.
Ooh, I sense a debate coming on.
Maybe. Contention is disagreement, sometimes pretty heated.
So, like, the biggest point of contention was who got to control the TV remote.
Classic. Or, my contention is that cats are better than dogs, but, people disagree.
They definitely do. Okay, this one always trips me up. Continually.
Yes. The
Yeah.
continually versus continuously dilemma.
Is there even a difference?
There is. Continuously means without a single break. Continually means often, but maybe with little pauses.
So, like, that dog barks continually is driving me nuts.
Right. But the Earth, thankfully, rotates continuously. No pauses there.
Phew. Okay, if I need some work done on my house, I call a contractor.
Exactly. Someone you hire for a specific job. They have the skill.
Like, we hired a contractor to fix our leaky roof.
Yep. Or she works as a contractor doing freelance writing for different companies.
And on bigger projects, the city gave the contract to that big construction firm.
Perfect examples. All right, ready for some contradiction?
Bring it on. Does it just mean things don't make sense?
Kind of. Like saying one thing but doing another.
His words were in total contradiction to his actions. Classic politician.
Yeah. Or the historian found a contradiction in the documents, so now the whole story's a mystery.
Intriguing. Okay, so that movie, it was full of contradictions, but honestly, I still loved it.
Sometimes a little chaos is fun. Now, how about someone contrary?
Stubborn. At least argue.
Could be. Think if it's going against the grain.
She wore a bright pink dress to the funeral, completely contrary to tradition.
Bold move. Or, contrary to what everyone expected, he quit his job and joined the circus.
Wow, okay. So, I'm going to eat this whole bag of chips, contrary to my doctor's advice. Rebellious.
Huh. Enjoy. Now let's talk about those who give back. Contributors.
People who donate to charity, volunteer their time.
Exactly. She was a major contributor to the library, giving both money and her time.
That's awesome. Or he's a regular contributor to that online forum, always sharing his tech knowledge.
Yeah.
So the project wouldn't have been possible without the contributors, everyone who chipped in.
Well said. Okay, this one's always in the news. Controversial.
Ooh, yeah. Stuff that gets people fired up, right? Politics, social issues.
All that. That new book is super controversial. Everyone's got an opinion on it.
Right. Or the artist's latest work It sparked a lot of controversy. Some loved it, some hated it. Okay, so the plan to build that new highway, yeah, it was pretty controversial.
Makes sense. And when there's controversy, you often get controversy.
Right, the actual debate, the back and forth.
Yeah. That celebrity's tweet caused a whole bunch of controversy online.
Oh, I bet. Or there was a lot of controversy over how they handled that environmental issue.
The book tackled some controversial subjects, and yeah, it led to a ton of controversy.
You got it. Now let's take a break from all that drama and talk convenience.
Making life easier. Like, I love the convenience of online shopping. No crowds.
Right. Or the hotel was super convenient, just a short walk from everything.
And that polite way to say, get back to me when you can, it's at your earliest convenience, right?
You've mastered the art of email etiquette. Okay, now for something well-established, convention.
Like a big gathering. Comic-Con, is that a convention?
Yep. But it can also be a way of doing things that's, accepted as normal. Like in some cultures, bowing is the convention, not shaking hands.
Right. Or that new artist, they're really challenging the conventions of landscape painting.
And if you always follow the rules, you're conventional, right?
Exactly. He's got a very conventional style, always wears a suit and tie.
Okay, so she wanted a very conventional wedding, the whole white dress, big cake, everything.
Got it. Now, for a word that implies change, conversion.
Transforming one thing into another, right? Converting an old attic into a bedroom.
Yep. Or she converted that old video file to a modern format.
And of course, religious conversion, right? His conversion to a new faith changed his whole life. Okay, so the company is working on converting all their energy to solar.
Great example. Okay, let's talk about communication. Convey.
Getting a message across, right, doesn't have to be with words.
Nope. His eyes conveyed how much he loved her, no words needed.
Oh, sweet. Or that documentary, it really conveyed the urgency of the situation. So her art conveys a sense of peace and tranquility. It's amazing.
Beautifully said. You're really getting this. Now, a legal term, convict.
Oh, this is when someone's found guilty in court, right?
Exactly. The jury convicted him on all charges. Heavy stuff.
Right. Or, despite a strong defense, she was still convicted. He maintained his innocence even after being convicted and sent to prison.
Tough situation. And then there's conviction, which has two sides.
Okay, so it could be a strong belief, like she has a deep conviction that education can change the world.
Right. But it can also mean the act of being found guilty, like his conviction for that crime really shocked everyone.
Two very different uses.
Yeah.
All right, if someone's argument really makes you believe, it's convincing.
Convincing is powerful. The evidence was so convincing there was no doubt.
Or their presentation wasn't convincing enough to win over the investors.
Makes sense. And being convincing takes logic, evidence, even emotion sometimes. It's an art.
Now let's work together. Cooperate.
Cooperate.
Teamwork. Essential for, well, pretty much everything. Like, those two countries decided to cooperate on that research project, even though they're rivals.
Exactly. Or, on a smaller scale, if you kids don't cooperate and clean your rooms, no dessert.
Classic parenting. And someone who's easy to work with, they're cooperative, right?
Totally. She's a very cooperative employee, always willing to go the extra mile.
Great. So, the witness was cooperative with the police, answered all their questions.
Makes sense. Okay, now someone's going to bring it all together. The coordinating.
It's all about organization, right? She coordinated the whole event. Everything ran smoothly.
Exactly. Or maybe not so smoothly. He had a hard time coordinating his work life and his family time.
Oof. Yeah, been there. And the result of all that hard work, that's good coordination, right?
Good coordination is key to success in any field, really. Couldn't agree more.
And the person in charge is the coordinator. You see them everywhere. Event coordinators, project coordinators.
Oh, yeah. Coordinators are essential. And coordinate can even apply to movement. Like that athlete, their coordination is incredible.
Makes sense. Okay, now for a word that's a bit more casual. Cop.
Cop, yeah, it's slang for police officer. You hear it all the time in movies and stuff.
So, like, We saw a cop chasing that speeding car. It was like a scene from an action movie.
Ah, sounds exciting. Or, as a kid, he always wanted to be a cop. Catch the bad guys.
But if you're writing a formal report, stick with police officer, right?
Definitely. Gotta be respectful. And speaking of handling tough situations, let's talk about cope.
Cope. Dealing with something difficult, finding a way to get through it. Like after the accident, she had to learn to cope with her new reality.
Exactly. Or he uses exercise as a way to cope with stress. It helps him clear his head.
So, like, they lost everything in the fire, but they're coping remarkably well, considering.
Resilience. That's what cope is all about. All right. Switching gears completely now. Copper.
The metal, right. Shiny reddish-brown stuff.
That's it. Copper pipes were pretty common in old houses.
Right. Or that sculpture. It was made of hammered copper. It was beautiful. And everyone knows copper is a great conductor of electricity. That's why it's in all our wiring.
You got it. Okay, now for something important for all you creators out there, copyright.
Copyright. It's a legal right that protects your work.
Right. Exactly. It means you control how your work is used, copied, shared. She made sure to copyright her novel before sending it to publishers.
Makes sense. Or downloading movies illegally is a copyright violation, you know.
Right. And you always see that little C symbol, the copyright symbol, on creative work. Okay, almost done. What about corporation?
Big companies, right. Like
Oh.
you worked for a massive corporation, thousands of employees.
Yep. Or that corporation has been in the news lately facing accusations of environmental damage.
Not good. Okay, last word. Correction.
Correction can be a couple of things. Fixing a mistake, like I had to make a few corrections to that report before sending it off.
Right, editing. But it can also be about discipline, like my parents used to give me corrections when I misbehaved.
That's right. And what's interesting is how correction implies trying to make something better.
Whether it's a sentence or someone's behavior. So there you have it, folks. 30 words, all from the Oxford 5000.
And we covered a lot of ground, right? From arguments to art, from business to personal growth. It's amazing how words connect to everything.
Absolutely. Now go out there and use these words. Make them your own.
Yeah, sprinkle them into conversations, write them down, just get comfortable with them.
And here's a thought. Think about a time when you really had to cooperate with someone to achieve something. What challenges did you contend with? How did you convey your ideas? What made your teamwork truly convincing? Until next time, happy learning.
See you then.